Hello, folks. It is Monday, February 1st, and welcome to Uplifted. Well, it's hard to believe we've already completed the first month of the new year. And of course, this weekend was a challenging one. If you live in the southeastern Wisconsin area, we got a little bit of snow from Saturday night through Sunday, but we still had our services and had a good number of folks still turn out. And so um, thank you to all of those who were able to attend. I know some, and I'm actually very grateful that some of you who might be watching didn't attempt to come out. Some of our elderly families and single ladies, I'm glad that you were able to stay home and watch from home. Of course, look forward to seeing you this coming Sunday. I think it's supposed to be a little chilly, but hopefully we won't be getting much new snow. Well, we're starting a new series here today, and as I thought about it and prayed about it, and Lord just directed my heart, I want to actually look at a book, and it's a book that a friend of mine wrote a number of years ago, Steve Currington. Steve is in heaven now, but he is the founder of the RU program. And a number of years ago, he wrote the book titled Produce the Juice. And this book focuses on using your spiritual gifts and how the proper use of your spiritual gifts will actually produce, he calls it the juice, or a motivation inside of us, a fulfillment inside of us. And so I sure hope it's going to be a blessing to you as we look here in the book, Produce the Juice. We're going to look together and start at looking at three key recommendations he gives out of Romans chapter number 12. And of course, several weeks ago we were in Romans chapter number 12. But I want to read verses 1 and 2 to you. It states here, "And I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good, acceptable, and the perfect will of God." And so we see here, as he speaks of the using and being used and surrendered, he first speaks of the recommendation of presentation. And that is stated there in verse number 1. "I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice." So the recommendation of presentation, and that means that we must be a willing sacrifice. You know, God takes no prisoners. God is willing to use all kinds of vessels and individuals. But one thing that must be present is there must be a willingness, a surrender. I think of the scripture, and of course, that we must willingly yield ourselves to serve God. Your yielding of service should be done through the good times and the bad. And so we don't just yield when it's convenient or yield when we're asked to do that which we love to do or enjoy doing most of all. But it's also a yielding or a surrender as we give ourselves even in the tough times, the difficult times, and we remain steadfast and faithful. I'd like to read out of 2 Corinthians chapter number 8 to you. Some verses I thought of in 2 Corinthians 8 and verse 12. It states, "For if there first be a willing mind, it is accepted according to that a man hath, and not according to that he hath not." So I believe that God has equipped us and given us the tools necessary for service in regards to doing what he wants you to do right now. But those tools You must be surrendered, willing to be used, a willing instrument in the hands of God. I think then he also will give us more tools, more ability to continue to do even greater things. But he says what? It all starts with a willing mind. Are you willing to serve? Are you willing to do what God is provoking you or challenging you to do even now in areas of your life? Or are you surrendering conditionally? Are you surrendering based upon convenience, or you're willing to do that which comes easy or that which is pleasing? And so we see here the recommendation of presentation. It goes on to say here in 2 Corinthians, as he speaks about this willing mind. Then he says, it is accepted according to that a man hath. And that God used this passage of scripture in my heart years and years ago, because the truth is, I often felt very insignificant or not really gifted to do what God's asked me to do. But of course, the scripture says that God has given us what we need to do what he's asked us to do. Oh, there's definitely some areas that are glaring in my life where I have not, as it says there. But we can't make excuses not to do what we ought to do or what God asks us to do because of what we don't have. Nobody knows better than our Creator, the Master Designer, what we have and what we don't have. In a sense, he's saying he will give you the tools in your toolbox to do the job he's asked you to do. That we will not be able to say, you've not given me what I need to do the job you've asked me to do. And so we see the recommendation of presentation. Have you presented yourself a living sacrifice? Have you presented yourself to God to do with you as he will? Something I've mentioned the last couple of weeks in church. And if you've been watching or listening, you heard me say this, that the most difficult thing about a living sacrifice is that it has a tendency to crawl off the altar. And so as we think about yielding ourselves to the Lord through good times and bad, through blessings and through difficulty, stay yielded, stay surrendered. Well, we'll be looking at the next part of Romans chapter 12, verses 1 and 2 here this week as we move forward and look at the first few chapters, and then we'll be looking into many other passages of Scripture as we look at this book together, Produce the Juice. God bless you, and I trust that today's Bible study was uplifting to your heart. Enjoy the song we've picked out for you tonight.
There's a place I found, not made of earth, not made of stone. This place is safe. place, a place of healing. There is no shame within your scars. This place is sacred. This place is secret. Here in the presence of a holy God. Here in the presence of a holy God. Come to this place. Come seek His face. Find the hands of forgiveness. Look into the eyes of grace. Run to redemption with tears of joy and pain. Let fire fall and purify our hearts. Come to the altar. Come to His arms. Be still and know that He is God. Be still and know that He is God. Come to this place. Come seek His face. Find the hands of forgiveness. Look into the eyes of grace. Run to redemption with tears of joy